Priscilla Cole here with the Geospatial Risk Summit, and I'm back on with Franklin Manchester. Hi, Franklin.
Hey, Priscilla. How you doing?
It's good to see you. It's been
You
a,
too.
a month since we saw you up on stage, and yeah, you had a big role as a moderator for one of the panels at the summit.
Yeah, it was good fun, and I really enjoyed our discussion with Kevin Pomfrey and Daniela Moody. And hate we missed T, but we'll catch them next time, I guess.
You were just telling me about some highlights from the day, starting off with the opening keynote speaker. So why don't you recap some of those?
First and foremost, thanks again for putting together the event. It was brilliant. Venue was great. Always fun to know you were presenting on a stage that Aerosmith and 50 Cent also had performed on. I'll not repeat that in my lifetime, probably.
Big shoes to
Um,
fill, right?
yeah, seriously. So Paul Shotton, I was fascinated by his career path, starting at CERN, and then making that very logical career progression into capital fund and hedge fund management.
Right.
And a couple of things that he kicked us off the conversation. We're not dealing with risk, we're dealing with uncertainty. AI models suffer from the human assumption that data that feeds it is unadaptive. And that assumption is flawed because it assumes that the real world doesn't change. And of course, the real world changes. So he kind of put the cherry on top of that discussion by saying, all models are wrong and some are useful. And I really appreciated that opening salvo of grounding the conversation. Erik Weber shared with us that humans are the smartest sensor and there's the most of them. Will Caudle had asked us how much data is there, right? Just kind of as a, hey, how much data is out there? Does anyone know? And it struck a nice balance of levity while going deep into a broad range of topics and allowing us to have a really good discussion as a group. Even when we didn't at times agree, there were certainly statements that were made and opinions that were shared that, I appreciate that they were shared and we had the opportunity to talk through them. So.
Yeah. So did you write down in your notes how much data is there and how does that tie into the panel that you helped to lead at the summit?
Yeah, it's estimated about 400 million terabytes of data are created every day.
Yeah.
And it's thought that 90% of that was created in the last 2 years. Data is the fuel for AI. And the data that's used can be put into these models that, according to Mr. Shotton, are all wrong. Really, AI is another tool in our tool chest to be able to use to make good decisions, achieve our outcomes, add value. Some of the things that we are asking ourselves with the use of AI are old questions. They're questions that we asked in previous technological innovative periods in human history. How do we do this? Can we do this? Should we do this? Right? One of those questions that came up in the conference was the use of aerial imagery and other forms of data, geospatial data, to choose what to insure.
Yeah.
And, on one end of that spectrum, you could create insurance deserts by using that technology in such a way. On another end, you could use that technology to inform outcomes and build more resilient communities. So, in a practical example, rather than non-renewing a risk, do you work with your loss control specialists and the customer to make that aspect of their risk more resilient? So that type of ethical consideration came out in our panel with Daniela and Kevin. And Kevin made a really good point. Typically, the innovation happens first and then policy follows. Right. And we certainly have seen that in recent years with ChatGPT being launched November 30th of 2022. It came first, and then all the talk about AI governance came after it. So I think his point was well made. We are more alike than we are different. We want the same things, and we have a lot going for us as humanity is concerned with the technology we have access to. And frankly, I'm very hopeful what we can do with it.
The thing that keeps coming up again and again, it felt like a start of a new community of people. You have, folks coming in from multiple different sectors, insurance, finance, healthcare, energy, and then also all these different data providers. And it's a lot of groups that don't speak to one another and don't even, like sometimes even share the same language.
Yeah. Community is the right word. Individuals and businesses are going to need to collaborate in a way that is going to be a heavy lift, right? It's not just insurers, it's not just technology providers, it's not just state and local governments, it's not just thought leaders and community leaders. It's going to take all those entities and then some to come together to address some real problems. And I'll use the Palisades fire as a more recent example. There have certainly been personalities who have been commenting, whose fault is it? I get that question quite a bit, actually.
Yeah. It's like everybody's looking for who to point blame, not who's going to lead.
It's really the right question, right? Who is going to lead in this effort moving forward? Because something does have to change. It can't just be raise rates and non-renew policies and retreat from areas. I often refer to it as our generation's Oppenheimer moment. A collection of really bright and brilliant and inspired individuals to be able to address a very real problem, hopefully without a nuclear device sending at the end of it. So,
yeah. Who's going to coordinate all of this? Like, where is the leadership going to come from when it comes to all this big data and AI and technology and these big societal problems? Like, where do you see that coming from?
I'll start answering that question by maybe giving you something to think about. Would it be possible that within the next 15 years, by 2040, there are 1 billion climate refugees on this planet that are displaced because of the evolving nature of climate risk, the aridification of the earth, and these novel events that are coming up more and more often? Who is going to lead in addressing the impact of that outcome, that there are 1 billion individuals who are displaced? Unfortunately, I don't think that leadership is here in the US. While some organizations have said it's not a priority, there's objective data to share that a dollar investment in resiliency turns out $13 in return. A study of Allstate and the US Chamber of Commerce showed that. It's probably going to come, though, from smaller, more tightly knit communities. Think like the UK, Singapore, Australia, Brazil. And frankly, the regulatory environment here in the US, as far as insurance is concerned, is still state-based. So you don't have as much of that national coordination that you probably need in order to address the risks. So leadership is going to come from somewhere else, in my opinion. And that's okay. I don't think that it's bad or good if it comes from somewhere else, but it does need to come, right? Yeah. Somebody needs to lead. And frankly, I don't care who it is, but somebody does.
Yeah. I love that you brought up investments in resilience. This is such an important piece of the equation. Conversation is all like who to place the blame on, a very reactive kind of stance, instead of taking that more proactive to invest in the future and think about where these risks are and they could be prevented rather than just reacting to all these events happening. This has been great, Franklin. I feel like we could go on and on and on every time we talk. Where can people find you out and about if they want more big thoughts from Franklin Manchester?
Yeah, well, I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me. My profile is a black and white photo of me smiling like this. So I'm kind of hard to miss, and I do make it to like our discussion in New York, various conferences throughout the year. So feel free to reach out to me over LinkedIn. I am always happy to nerd out on insurance with anyone. So.
Fantastic. Probably people can see behind you SAS Life and so forth. You reside at SAS as your place of employment.
License plates notwithstanding, I really enjoy my role here as global insurance strategic advisor and get to work with individuals like yourself all over the world who are really leaning into the trustworthy use of data and artificial intelligence. So really happy that you and I had this chance to catch up.
All right. Well, I'll let you go. That's Franklin's big thoughts for today. And thank you again for coming on.